Captain Laura Bennett stood tall on the bridge of the USS Pathfinder, her eyes fixed on the massive space station that loomed ahead. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had finally found other intelligent life. The year was 2157, and Earth had just established its first colonies beyond the solar system. "Nervous, Captain?" asked her second-in-command, Jack Harris. "Just cautious," Laura replied, smoothing down her navy blue uniform. "This is the most important meeting in human history." The Pathfinder slowed as it approached the neutral meeting point near Alpha Centauri. The space station was unlike anything humans had built, a spinning wheel of impossible metals that seemed to glow from within. It was here that representatives of the Galactic Council, an alliance of 7 advanced alien species, had agreed to meet with humans for the first time. Laura watched as 5 sleek ships of different designs hovered near the station. Each belonged to a different council species. The largest, with sharp angles and glowing red lines along its hull, was Voldarian. Intelligence reports suggested they were the most powerful military force in the council. "All systems normal, Captain," reported Communications Officer Lisa Wright. "The council has sent docking instructions. Follow their lead," Laura ordered. "And remind all crew, we're guests here. One wrong move could change the course of human history." Chief Diplomat William Carter joined Laura as they prepared to leave the ship. A tall man with kind eyes and graying hair, he had spent years studying the limited information they had on alien cultures. "Remember," Carter said quietly, "show respect but not weakness. The council values strength." Laura nodded. She had chosen a small team for this first meeting: herself, Carter, Security Chief Alan Grant, and 2 guards. As they entered the station through an airlock that adjusted to Earth atmosphere, Laura felt a chill run down her spine. The meeting chamber was a large circular room with a table at its center. Around it stood representatives from the council species. Laura tried not to stare, but it was difficult. They were tall, slender beings with 4 arms, short creatures with tough, bark-like skin, beings that seemed to float rather than walk. And the Voldarians, reptilian humanoids with scaled skin and eyes that reminded Laura of Earth's predators. Carter stepped forward and bowed slightly. "On behalf of Earth and all human colonies, we extend greetings and friendship to the Galactic Council. We come seeking peaceful relations and the exchange of knowledge." The translation devices they all wore hummed softly as his words were converted. There was a moment of silence before one of the Voldarians responded. "The Council acknowledges humanity's greeting," the alien said, its voice deep and rasping even through the translator. "I am Supreme Commander Kral of the Voldarian Empire. We have observed your species for some time." This surprised Laura. They had no idea they'd been watched. A smaller alien with bright blue skin spoke next. "I am Delegate Maver of the Tellurian Collective. We find it unusual that a species from such a hostile world has advanced so quickly." Carter smiled diplomatically. "Earth has presented us with many challenges that we've overcome through cooperation and innovation." The aliens exchanged glances that Laura couldn't read. Commander Kral leaned forward. "Our records show that humans evolved on what we classify as a death world. Extreme weather patterns, high gravity, dangerous wildlife, constant warfare." His eyes narrowed. "Species from such environments develop concerning traits." Laura felt Alan Grant tense beside her. Something was wrong. "We've moved beyond our violent past," Carter assured them. "Humanity united decades ago to focus on exploration and scientific advancement. Yet your body language suggests readiness for combat," said another alien. "This one with features like an Earth insect. Even now your security personnel are assessing threats and plotting escape routes." Grant had indeed been doing exactly that. Laura gave him a warning glance. "Standard procedure," Laura explained. "We're in an unfamiliar environment." "Commander." Kral made a sharp gesture. Council security forces previously standing along the walls moved closer. "Our intelligence suggests your ship carries biological weapons." Carter looked shocked. "That's absolutely false. We came in peace." Then you won't object to detention while we inspect your vessel, Kral said. It wasn't a question. We cannot agree to that, Laura stated firmly. We'll cooperate with scans, but boarding without permission would violate the diplomatic protocols your own council established. The tension in the room grew thick. Laura noticed more security forces entering. This is not a negotiation, Kral hissed. Humans represent an unacceptable risk. Your biological makeup alone could destabilize ecosystems across council space. Carter stepped forward, hands raised in a calming gesture. There's clearly been a misunderstanding. The shot came from a nervous council guard. Carter fell, a smoking hole in his chest. For a heartbeat, everyone froze in shock. Then chaos erupted. Grant shoved Laura behind him as he fired at the approaching guards. Back to the ship, now! Laura grabbed her communicator. Pathfinder, emergency extraction, Carter is down. They fought their way back to the airlock, taking fire from all sides. One guard fell, then the other. Grant took a hit to his shoulder but kept moving. As they reached, the ship alarms blared throughout the station. The Pathfinder's engines were already warming up as they stumbled into the airlock. Get us out of here, Laura ordered as she reached the bridge. Blood splattered across her uniform. Maximum speed. As they pulled away, the Voldarian ships moved to intercept them. The Pathfinder shuddered as enemy weapons fire struck their shields. 3 human colony ships detected in nearby space, Officer Wright reported, her voice shaking. They're being targeted by Voldarian cruisers. Laura watched in horror as the defenseless colony ships carrying hundreds of civilian families to new homes were surrounded. Warn them. Tell them to jump to hyperspace immediately. But it was too late. The Voldarian ships opened fire. One by one, the colony ships exploded in silent bursts of light and debris. My God, whispered Jack Harris. They're killing civilians. Get us back to Earth space, Laura ordered, her voice hollow with shock and rage. We need to warn Earth. This wasn't first contact. It was first strike. As the Pathfinder escaped into hyperspace, emergency communications were already being sent to every human outpost and colony. On the main screen, a final message from the Galactic Council appeared. By unanimous vote of the Council, the species known as human is hereby declared a threat to galactic stability. Containment procedures are authorized effective immediately. Laura stared at the message, the bodies of her fallen crew being tended to behind her. In a single day, humanity had gone from reaching out to the stars to fighting for its very survival. The war had begun, a war that would redefine what it meant to be human, a war that would make the galaxy tremble. 8 months had passed since the disastrous first contact. Earth and its colonies were burning. The Galactic Council had launched a massive attack against humanity, with technology far beyond anything humans had ever seen. Admiral Gregory Walsh stood in the dimly lit war room deep beneath what remained of Washington, D.C. The holographic display showed red dots spreading across human territory like a disease. Each dot represented an alien fleet. Each fleet meant another human settlement destroyed. Mars colony reports Voldarian forces breaching the outer defenses, a young officer said, her voice steady despite the news. Lieutenant Freeman requests reinforcements. Walsh rubbed his tired eyes. There are no reinforcements. Tell him to hold as long as he can and evacuate as many civilians as possible. On Mars, Lieutenant Daniel Freeman crouched behind a fallen concrete pillar as alien energy, weapons scorched the air around him. His squad had been fighting for 14 hours straight. Of the 30 men and women who started the day, only 11 remained. They're pushing toward the civilian shelters, shouted Sergeant Kelly Peterson over the sound of battle. Blood ran down her face from a cut above her eye. We can't hold this position much longer. Daniel knew she was right. The aliens had weapons that could melt through their best armor like it was paper. But beyond the next set of buildings was the shelter, where his wife Olivia and their 2 children were hiding with hundreds of other families. We hold until everyone gets to the escape ships, Daniel said firmly. No matter what. He tapped his communication device. This is Freeman to all units. Fall back to position Delta. We're making our stand there. As his remaining soldiers moved back, Daniel caught a glimpse of the enemy. The Voldarians moved with frightening precision, their scaled bodies protected by armor that seemed to bend light around them. Behind them walked tall, spindly creatures that his team had nicknamed spiders. These aliens carried devices that could shut down human technology with a single pulse. Daniel reached Position Delta, a barricade built from mining equipment and building materials. It wasn't much, but it gave them a clear line of fire down the main road to the shelters. "How many clips do you have left?" he asked Kelly. "2, plus 1 grenade." She checked her rifle. The new pulse rifles work better against their armor, but we're almost out of charges. Daniel nodded grimly. "Make every shot count." The aliens came in waves. The humans fought with everything they had. When their advanced weapons ran out of power, they switched to simple projectile guns. When those ran out of ammunition, they fought with knives and makeshift clubs. The aliens seemed shocked by the ferocity of the human defense. Several times they pulled back when, by all logic, they should have pressed forward. Daniel realized they weren't used to enemies who kept fighting after taking wounds that would stop any reasonable creature. While the battle raged, Dr. Samantha Reyes worked frantically in her lab beneath the lunar surface. Around her, captured alien technology and biological samples filled the room. For months she had been studying the invaders, looking for any weakness that might give humanity a chance. "Look at this neural pattern," she said to her assistant, Ryan Dixon. She pointed to a scan of a Voldarian brain. "Their pain response is fundamentally different from ours. They retreat from pain automatically. It's hardwired into their nervous system." Ryan looked confused. "How does that help us? Their weapons still tear us apart." "Because," Samantha said, excitement in her voice, "it explains why our soldiers can keep fighting despite horrible injuries, while the aliens retreat when seriously wounded. It's not just training or courage, it's biology. We can use this." She turned to another screen showing the molecular structure of Voldarian nerve cells. "And I think I found a way to trigger their pain response artificially." Back on Mars, Daniel received the call he had been dreading. "Lieutenant, we need to evacuate now," said the voice of Captain Steve Morgan from the last escape vessel. "The orbital defenses are almost gone. We have maybe 20 minutes before they bring down heavy weapons from orbit." Daniel looked at his remaining squad, just 5 of them now. "Get to the ship," he told Kelly. "Take everyone and go." Kelly shook her head. "We're not leaving you, sir." "That's an order, Sergeant," Daniel said firmly. "I need to get to the shelter and make sure my family gets out." After a moment of hesitation, Kelly nodded. As his squad retreated, Daniel fought his way toward the civilian shelter. He found it in chaos. A section of the roof had collapsed, and people were rushing toward the last transport ships. "Olivia!" he shouted over the noise. "Olivia!" A hand grabbed his arm. It was his neighbor, Frank Miller, carrying Daniel's 5-year-old son. "They're already on the ship," Frank yelled. "Olivia took both kids ahead. I came back for stragglers." Relief washed over Daniel. He helped Frank guide the remaining civilians to the transport. As the last people boarded, Daniel's communication device crackled. "All units, this is Captain Morgan. We have to launch now. Alien ships are descending." Daniel looked up through the broken roof and saw the massive shapes of Voldarian destroyers moving into position. "Go!" he shouted into his device. "Get those ships out now." "What about you, Lieutenant?" Morgan asked. "I'll hold them off as long as I can. Just make sure those ships get to safety." Daniel watched as the transport ships lifted off, carrying his family and the last hope for the Mars colony. He and a handful of soldiers who had stayed behind set up a final defensive position around the launch area. As the alien forces closed in, Daniel sent one last message to the fleeing ships. "Tell Olivia and the kids I love them. And tell Earth. Tell them Mars held as long as it could." The first transport had just cleared the atmosphere when a brilliant light flashed from below. The Voldarians had begun bombarding the surface from orbit. The Mars colony, humanity's first and greatest settlement beyond Earth, was gone. On the flagship of the evacuation fleet, Captain Morgan received a transmission from Earth. It was Admiral Walsh. "Captain, I need you to divert to Europa instead of Earth. We have intelligence that the aliens are preparing for a major push into the solar system. Earth may fall, but we're setting up a final defensive line at Europa. Morgan looked at the scared faces of the Mars refugees around him. Among them was Olivia Freeman, clutching her children and staring out the viewport at the red planet falling. Away behind them. "What about Mars survivors, sir?" Morgan asked quietly. There was a long pause. Lieutenant Freeman's last transmission came through. He and his remaining team are presumed lost with the colony. As the ship sped toward Jupiter's moon, and the remnants of humanity prepared for what might be their final stand, no one noticed a small Voldarian prison ship leaving Mars orbit with new captives, including a badly injured but very much alive Lieutenant Daniel Freeman. 1 year into the war, humanity faced extinction. Over 40% of Earth's population had died. All human colonies except Europa had fallen to the Galactic Council forces. Food was scarce. Hope was scarcer. In a hidden underground facility, beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Walsh met with the remaining military leaders. The room was cold and dimly lit to save power. "We've lost the Atlantic defense line," said General Paul Martinez, his face gaunt from too many battles and too little sleep. "The aliens will reach the eastern seaboard within days." No one spoke for a long moment. Then the heavy metal door opened, and a woman entered. She wore a simple gray uniform with no rank insignia. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, and her eyes carried the weight of terrible knowledge. "Director Catherine Morrison," she said, introducing herself. "I need to speak with the Admiral, alone." After the others left, Morrison placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram of a strange ship unlike any human vessel. "This is Project Phoenix," she said. "For 15 years, I've led a classified research division studying theoretical weapons technology. When the war began, we accelerated our work. We've been reverse engineering alien tech from crashed vessels." Walsh stared at the hologram. "Why am I just hearing about this now?" "Security protocols. But we're out of time for secrets." Morrison's voice was flat. "The prototype is ready. We've built weapons that can match Council technology." For the first time in months, Walsh felt a flicker of hope. Far from Earth, on a Voldarian prison ship, Lieutenant Daniel Freeman lay on the cold floor of his cell. His body was covered in scars from repeated interrogations. In the cell next to his was a strange alien with blue-gray skin and 4 eyes. The aliens called him Zarn, a member of the Arcadian species. "Human," Zarn whispered through the small gap between their cells. "Guards coming soon. Today we leave." Daniel barely had the strength to respond. "Leave for where? Another prison?" "Science. Station. They study humans there. But Arcadian engineer will be there. My friend. He will help us." Before Daniel could ask more, the guards arrived. They dragged both prisoners to a transport shuttle. As they traveled through space, Daniel caught glimpses of stars through the windows. For the first time in months, he thought of Olivia and his children. Were they still alive? Had any humans survived? The shuttle docked with a massive space station. As Daniel was marched through the corridors, he saw other human prisoners. Most looked half dead, their bodies showing signs of experimentation. Anger burned through his exhaustion. In another part of the galaxy, the Europa colony was under attack. Commander Alan Russell stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, humanity's first warship built with the new Phoenix technology. "All systems online," reported his second-in-command, Lisa Wright, the former communications officer from the ill-fated First Contact mission. "Shields at full power, weapons ready." Russell watched as 5 Voldarian warships approached Europa. They were massive compared to the Defiance, each capable of destroying a human city from orbit. "They don't know what we've got," Russell said quietly. "Let them get close." The alien ships moved into attack formation. Energy beams lanced out toward the human colony on Europa's surface. Russell gave the order. Fire targeting pulse. A wave of invisible energy washed over the alien vessels. On their bridges, Voldarian crew suddenly collapsed in agony, as their neural systems overloaded with pain signals. Dr. Reyes's discovery had been weaponized. "Main guns, fire," Russell ordered. The Defiance's weapons, built from salvaged alien technology, cut through the first Voldarian ship like it was paper. The remaining 4 ships attempted to regroup, but without their crews functioning properly, they moved erratically. One by one, the Defiance destroyed them all. For the first time since the war began, humans had won a battle against the Council forces. Back on the alien science station, Daniel was strapped to an examination table. Scientists of various species moved around him, preparing equipment. Then alarms began to sound. The station shook violently. "What's happening?" demanded the lead scientist, a Voldarian with unusual white scales. A voice came over the communication system. "Arcadian vessels attacking. They've breached our defenses." The scientists fled, leaving Daniel strapped to the table. Minutes later, Zarn appeared with another Arcadian. "Told you," Zarn said as he freed Daniel. "My friend came." "Why are your people helping us?" Daniel asked as they ran through the corridors. The other Arcadian answered, "Many council species disagree with this war. Voldarians pushed for it, convinced others you were dangerous, but their real goal is your genetics. They want to use human resilience for their own soldiers." They reached a small hangar bay where other freed humans were. Boarding an Arcadian shuttle, Daniel spotted a familiar face, Sergeant Kelly Peterson, who he thought had died on Mars. "Lieutenant," she called out, her voice breaking, "you're alive." As they embraced, Daniel noticed something strange about Kelly. Her wounds from Mars had healed wrong. Her arm bent at an unnatural angle, yet she used it normally. "What did they do to you?" he asked. "Experiments," she said grimly. "But I learned things. The Voldarian command network. I know how to access it, and I know where they're keeping more human prisoners." On Earth, Director Morrison led Admiral Walsh to a secure level of the Phoenix facility. Inside a large chamber, 20 soldiers stood at attention. They looked normal at first glance, but something about them seemed off. They stood too still, their eyes too focused. "The first Valkyries," Morrison said, "volunteers who underwent the Phase 2 process." "Phase 2? Walsh asked. "Project Phoenix isn't just weapons," Morrison explained. "It's evolution. We've enhanced these soldiers using adaptations from Earth species and reverse-engineered alien DNA. Accelerated healing, increased strength, resistance to extreme conditions." A demonstration followed. One soldier allowed a scientist to cut his arm with a knife. The wound closed within seconds. "My God," Walsh whispered. "God has nothing to do with it," Morrison said. "This is survival. The Council wants to exterminate us? Fine. We'll become something they can't kill." In orbit around Jupiter, Commander Russell received new orders. The Defiance would lead a fleet of 10 Phoenix-equipped vessels back to Earth. The counterattack was beginning. As Russell prepared his ship, a communication came through on a secure channel. It was from an Arcadian vessel. "This is Lieutenant Daniel Freeman of Earth Forces. I'm with Arcadian allies. We have critical intelligence on Voldarian operations and the location of human prisoners." Russell's face showed shock, then determination. "Lieutenant Freeman, welcome back from the dead. Things have changed while you've been gone." Daniel looked at the human prisoners around him, their bodies modified by alien experiments. He thought of his family, somewhere in the vastness of space. He thought of Earth, fighting for its very existence. "So I've heard," he replied, "but I'm ready to help humanity fight back." As the Arcadian vessel and the Defiance set course for Earth, news spread through Council space. For the first time, the invincible Voldarian forces had been defeated. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was transforming into something new, something terrifying. The war was entering a new phase. And the galaxy was about to learn why you should never corner a species that evolved on a death world. 6 months after humanity's first victory, Earth forces launched their counteroffensive. Admiral Alan Russell, recently promoted from commander, led a fleet of 30 vessels equipped with Phoenix technology. Each ship carried squads of Valkyrie soldiers Men and women enhanced through Project Phoenix. The Voldarian outpost on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, was the first target. The alien forces there had never lost a battle. They had no reason to expect this day would be different. They were wrong. Human ships appeared without warning, using technology stolen from Arcadian allies. The neural disruption weapons fired first, sending Voldarian crews into paralyzed agony. Then came the Valkyries. Sergeant Maria Lopez led the first wave of Valkyrie troops. 6 months ago, she had been a regular soldier. Now her bones were reinforced with carbon fiber. Her skin could harden against impacts. Her eyes could see in near darkness. And she could keep fighting with injuries that would kill normal humans. Remember, the colonies, Maria told her squad as their dropship approached the Voldarian base. Remember Earth cities. No mercy. The Valkyries hit the base like a storm. Voldarian weapons fire bounced off their reinforced bodies. When they were wounded, they kept coming. Maria watched one of her soldiers take a direct hit to the chest, his heart exposed, and yet he continued fighting for another 3 minutes before collapsing. The Voldarians had never faced anything like this. They broke formation and retreated, in disorder. Within hours, the Titan base fell. Similar attacks happened across the solar system. After a year of defeat, humanity was pushing back. The aliens who had thought humans would be easy prey now faced nightmares made flesh. On Earth, Director Morrison briefed Admiral Walsh on the progress. Titan secure, Mars outpost retaken, lunar defenses restored, she reported, her face showing no emotion despite the good news. Phase 3 of Project Phoenix is ready for implementation. Walsh looked concerned. The Valkyries are already pushing the limits of what we consider human. What does Phase 3 do? Morrison's eyes were cold. It ensures our survival, Admiral. That's all you need to know. Far from Earth, Lieutenant Daniel Freeman prepared for the most important mission of the war. His time in Voldarian captivity had changed him. His body bore the scars of alien experiments, but he had gained valuable knowledge. The Arcadian vessel where he had found refuge was now filled with a mix of alien defectors and freed human prisoners. With Zarn's help, Daniel had planned a raid on the main Voldarian research station, where his intel suggested human captives, including his family, were being held. The station orbits a gas giant in the Proxima Centauri system, Daniel explained to his team. Security will be heavy, but we have an advantage they don't expect. He nodded to Kelly Peterson, who had undergone more Voldarian experiments than anyone else on the team. Her body was now a patchwork of human and alien enhancements. I can access their systems, Kelly said. The Voldarians put too many of their neural implants in me. They never thought a human mind could control them, but they were wrong. The rescue mission launched under cover of an asteroid field. Their ship, disguised with Voldarian identification codes provided by Arcadian intelligence, approached the massive research station undetected. Remember, Daniel told his team, our priority is rescuing the prisoners, but we need to gather all the data we can on their experiments. The things they've done to humans, Earth needs to know. As they docked with the station, Kelly interfaced with its systems using the neural technology forcibly implanted in her brain. Security doors opened. Alarms remained silent. The team moved through the station like ghosts. When they reached the prisoner section, Daniel wasn't prepared for what he found. Hundreds of humans were kept in transparent cells. Many showed signs of horrific experiments. Limbs replaced with alien appendages, skin grafted with scales, organs visible through clear sections of flesh. Some no longer looked human at all. My God, whispered one of Daniel's team. Daniel moved quickly from cell to cell, searching for Olivia and his children. When he found them, he almost didn't recognize them. Olivia's eyes had been replaced with Voldarian optical organs. His son and daughter appeared physically unchanged but stared blankly, as if their minds were elsewhere. As Daniel freed them, Olivia recognized him, despite her alien eyes. Daniel, she whispered. You're alive. Before he could respond, alarms blared. Kelly's control of the station systems was breaking down. We've been detected, she called over the communication system. Multiple security teams converging on your position. Get the prisoners to the ship, Daniel ordered his team. I'm going to the main lab. We need that research data. Despite Olivia's protests, Daniel fought his way to the central laboratory. Inside, he found the evidence of Voldarian plans. They weren't just studying humans, they were creating hybrids. Soldiers that combined Voldarian intelligence with human resilience. An unstoppable army that could conquer the galaxy. Daniel downloaded everything he could find onto a data device. As he worked, a voice spoke behind him. "Impressive, human. I didn't expect you to escape our prison ship." Daniel turned to face a Voldarian with white scales, the lead scientist from the prison. Daniel raised his weapon, but the alien was faster. A bolt of energy struck Daniel in the shoulder, spinning him around. Despite the wound, Daniel kept moving. He fired back, catching the Voldarian in the leg. The alien fell, its face showing shock at Daniel's resilience. "You should have killed me when you had the chance," Daniel said as he approached the wounded alien. The Voldarian scientist hissed, "You're proving our point, human. Your species is too dangerous to exist." Daniel knelt beside the alien. "We were peaceful until you attacked us. Everything that's happened since, it's on you." He took the data device and left the Voldarian alive. As Daniel rejoined his team on the ship, Kelly reported that all surviving prisoners had been evacuated. Their ship broke away from the station just as Voldarian reinforcements arrived. A short firefight ensued, but with Kelly's knowledge of Voldarian tactical systems, they managed to escape into faster-than-light travel. On the bridge, Daniel studied the alien data. What he found chilled him to the core. The Voldarians had been planning their attack on humanity long before first contact. The entire meeting had been a setup, designed to provoke a conflict that would give them access to human genetic material. "We need to get this to Earth immediately," he told Zarn. "The Council needs to know the truth about how this war started." As their ship headed toward Earth, news of the raid spread through Council space. The story of humans rescuing their own from a research facility, despite horrific experiments and overwhelming odds, sent shockwaves through alien civilizations. In the Arcadian homeworld, their High Council met in emergency session. Other species began questioning the Voldarian version of events. The unity of the Galactic Council was fracturing. The tide of war had turned. Humanity wasn't just fighting back, it was winning. 2 years after first contact, humanity had pushed the alien forces back to the borders of Council space. The massive human flagship USS Retribution, built from captured alien technology, orbited a devastated Voldarian colony world. From its bridge, Director Catherine Morrison watched the planet below, her face showing no emotion. "The Galactic Council representatives have arrived," reported a communications officer. "Their ship is requesting permission to dock." Morrison nodded. "Let them come." In the 2 years since the war began, Morrison had become Earth's de facto leader. Admiral Walsh had died during the liberation of North America, and the civilian government had granted her emergency powers to lead the war effort. Now she would decide whether humanity would accept peace or continue its relentless advance into Council space. The Council representatives entered the Retribution's conference room with visible caution. There were 5 of them, 1 from each remaining Council species. The Voldarian delegate was notably absent. The Arcadian speaker, an elder named Tenzin, bowed slightly. "Director Morrison, we come seeking peace." Morrison studied them coldly. "You come seeking peace now after your forces killed billions of my people?" "Many of us opposed this war from the beginning," Tenzin replied. "The Voldarians misled the Council about human intentions. We have only recently learned the full truth." Morrison's expression didn't change. "And what truth is that?" Before Tenzin could answer, the door opened. Commander Daniel Freeman entered, accompanied by Zarn. In the past year, Daniel had become the primary liaison to alien allies, using his knowledge of Council species to help coordinate joint operations. "The truth," Daniel said, "is that certain elements within the Council orchestrated this conflict from the beginning." He activated a holographic display showing data stolen from the Voldarian research station. The Voldarians identified Earth decades ago. They recognized the potential of human genetics, our adaptability, our resilience. They wanted those traits for their soldiers. The council representatives looked shocked as Daniel displayed images of the human-Vuldarian hybrids being developed in secret labs. The first contact meeting was designed to fail, Daniel continued. They planted false intelligence about biological weapons to justify attacking us. They needed a war to gain access to human test subjects. Tenzin turned to Morrison. Director, many council worlds now stand with humanity against the Vuldarians. Their leadership has been removed from power. We seek not just peace, but alliance. Morrison stood. Show me the human prisoners. The conference room fell silent. All of them, Morrison demanded. Every human taken from Earth and our colonies. Return them, pay reparations for our destroyed worlds, and bring the architects of this war to justice. Grant Earth a seat on the council with full voting rights, then we can discuss peace. These terms are acceptable, Tenzin said after conferring with the other representatives. The council acknowledges humanity's right to compensation for this unprovoked aggression. As formal documents were prepared, Daniel stepped away to contact Olivia. After their rescue, his family had been taken to a medical facility on Earth's moon. The Vuldarian experiments had changed them forever. His children's minds had been altered, enhanced to process information faster, but at the cost of their emotional responses. Olivia's alien eyes gave her vision beyond human capability, but she would never look human again. The war is ending, he told her over the secure channel. I'll be home soon. Daniel, she said softly, things can't go back to how they were. We've all changed too much. He touched the screen where her face appeared. We'll find a new way to be together. I promise. As the peace agreement was finalized, rumors spread through the galaxy about the species that had fought back from the brink of extinction to defeat the Council's combined might. Council intelligence reports documented horrifying accounts of human resilience. Soldiers continuing to fight with catastrophic injuries, Valkyries regenerating from wounds that would kill any other species, and the ruthless efficiency of human tactics. On a distant world, alien children gathered around their teacher as she explained recent events. Today we learn about the human war, the teacher said solemnly. It is a lesson about consequences. She displayed images of Earth's devastated cities, then showed the children footage of human Valkyrie soldiers in battle, their enhanced bodies shrugging off wounds that should have been fatal, their faces showing a determination that frightened even the bravest council warriors. All species fear death, the teacher explained, but humans proved willing to embrace it to achieve victory. This is why we now treat them with great respect. 6 months. After the peace treaty was signed, Earth began rebuilding. The technology gained during the war accelerated human development by centuries. New cities rose from the ashes of the old ones. The Moon and Mars were recolonized. Humanity expanded cautiously, but steadily, into the stars. Director Morrison established an interstellar defense perimeter with advanced warning systems and automated weapon platforms. Her message to the galaxy was clear. Earth would never be vulnerable again. Daniel Freeman, now working as an ambassador to the reformed Galactic Council, returned home to his family on the lunar colony. Their reunion was bittersweet. His children recognized him, but their enhanced minds processed emotions differently now. Olivia's alien eyes studied him with a gaze that could see beyond human spectrum. They're still our children, she reminded him as they watched the kids play in the lunar garden beneath the transparent dome. And I'm still me, inside. Daniel took her hand. We survived. That's what matters. Above them, Earth hung in the black sky, blue and green and beautiful, despite the scars of war still visible on its surface. Humanity had not just survived, it had changed. The Phoenix Project modifications had spread through much of the population, creating a new generation of humans better adapted to the dangers of space. In the council chambers on a neutral world, far from Earth, the final report on the human war was presented for the historical archives. In our arrogance, it read, we awakened something that should have been approached with caution. We faced not merely a species, but the distilled essence of survival itself. The galaxy will never be the same. The report concluded with a warning to future generations. Treat humans with respect and honesty, for they remember both kindness and betrayal. And should conflict ever arise again, remember this: a species that evolved on a death world will do anything to survive. The cost of underestimating humanity is extinction. Across Council space, the name Earth was now spoken with a mixture of fear and respect. Some species sought human allies, eager to learn from their resilience. Others maintained a cautious distance, watching as humanity took its place among the stars. And humanity remembered. They remembered the billions lost, the worlds destroyed, the pain of near extinction. They built monuments to the dead and vowed that such a war would never happen again. But if it did, they would be ready.